Hey guys.
Right, hey guys, how's it going?
Good, good.
Nice, nice. So yesterday we discussed ideas. Today we're going to go through validation. So from the ideas that we gathered, we've got potential candidates. One of them is a KYC solution. Where would you like to take us through, Mukhtar?
Um, yeah, sure. I don't know if you want to share the doc that I dropped in the links, or yeah, that I dropped in the side panel thing. Did I? No, I didn't. I did at some point. Yeah, there we go. So essentially, it's just a KYC solution. It cuts out for this project. It cuts out a lot of the fluff. It basically just looks at. It's a one-time verification that can be reused everywhere you go, attached directly to the wallet. We also explored adding zero knowledge proofs. But it also depends on the availability and time that we have. So it did solve some problems. Like I ran through what was that tool called? The strategic hackathon advisor, and it did score like an 18 out of 20, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was on the Vicus one. If you just click on the Vicus one, it's there. Yeah, it was like 18 out of 20. It basically solves impact, build speed, demo clarity, judge appeal. The tech stack wasn't too complicated. And yeah, I just think that's it.
Yeah, no, it's quite a involved project, I think.
I did set it at 2 weeks, so I should have probably set it for 48 hours. But looking at the scope, this is the project that I want to build along with this course.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's not a train wreck if we don't choose it. It's just yeah.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. Um, when it comes to hackathoning, the crux of the matter is what can you show in a short frame of time. So that's why a lot of things was cut. For instance, the whole ZK circuit. That's quite a complex process to get that figured out. And then all sorts of other things, choosing the right chain, the credentials, where, like, what kind of API you're going to use, how's it going to run. No,
Are you
so
asking me?
if we
Okay, yeah.
no, I'm just going through. So the core feature, the only one feature would be, let's say, age verification. I think if we're able to do this, I think it will be cool, because there's a lot of, let's say, teenagers going to the pubs, and the bouncer want to check, for instance, they could use this to validate the guy's age. That's one use case for it. Whereas the other medical concept, here we've got data that we have to store somewhere, file upload, then providing access to someone, so giving someone temporary access to your information. I'm not sure if it's exciting enough and actually demonstrating skill. I think if we do KYC, that might be a better project. I think it might be more fun.
The zero knowledge thing sounded pretty good. The
Yeah,
bar.
yeah,
Maybe I'm just partial to it because it's alcohol, but yeah, the zero knowledge, I can see the real world applicability for that.
yeah. So I think we can maybe try this one. It would be interesting to get into the the finer tech side. For instance, I haven't worked on Polygon. We can explore that. Figure out how we can.
Well, we do have 3 choices. Essentially, the 3 choices that we were given was Polygon, Solana, or Stellar. But we could also run these choices through AI to actually say, hey, what do you want to do? What do you suggest? Because I think that's also part of your process as well, is asking the AI what you want to do. Sorry, Andrew.
Hi, I have a question. Do I understand correctly that this is a project that we are going to build all together and apply to a hackathon?
So we're not applying to a hackathon. We're simulating a hackathon environment where we're building this app like we would in a hackathon. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much.
So what do you guys think? Do you want to build a medical document share type project, or do you want to try this zero knowledge KYC product?
I think we just go around the table and just ask everyone.
I think they're the same thing. I think the KYC in the medical thing, the records, it's about verifiability, access, you know what I mean? They merge. There's a lot of overlap there.
Cool.
It's
but
a
if you had to
question of
vote for
identity.
one, which one would you pick?
KYC.
KYC. William, what do you think? Andrew, do you have a preference?
I think for me today, I'm just observing how you guys are doing it. I think most of it I'm learning. Thank you.
No, but you get to choose. So do you either want to abstain from voting, or you can vote on, we build a medical solution that basically stores your medical information slightly, and then, but it's a KYC tool as well, or a KYC tool. Like, which one do you think we should build? You can abstain.
The first one.
The medical one. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Andrew? Or Kagiso? Riza, you got any thoughts for us?
I would think the first, the one with the medical records would be slightly complex, slightly more complex than the KYC project. I just wanted to ask, what type of use cases do you see for the KYC project?
So,
have you thought about any of them?
Yeah, so the KYC is basically verify once, use anywhere. So basically it would be chain agnostic. You swap from one chain to another. We could get to that point. That's the scary other thing to do. But essentially go from, use it on any chain, validate any wallets, validate yourself to an exchange, go use it as your credentials in another medical app or in any sort of other solution. But basically
Right.
it's just that trust layer of, exactly who you're dealing with. So whether you want to validate a WhatsApp transaction
So it's
or
not KYC
whatever,
in the traditional sense. It's not necessarily KYC in the
it
traditional
is KYC. So it would associate to your real world identity on blockchain.
Okay.
So it is
I
real
think I see what
technology.
he's saying. It's not KYC in the financial sense. You know what I mean?
No, it would
It's
be.
more of a broader.
It would be
So-
that and broader.
Yeah, because you
depending
would
on
be able to, sorry.
depending on the ecosystem that you're going to be participating in.
Yeah, but you'd also be able to add in OCR, global sources of truth, where you basically go and scan an ID, go compare it to Home Affairs, whichever country you want to look at, and all of those other
I think
things.
that the guy's age of majority, so he can get his laboratory knowledge.
So it would be plugged into almost any application that requires a KYC layer, but this is a
Eventually.
KYC plus.
Yeah, so it's basically, think of like SumSub. It's kind of like that,
Yes,
just on
yes, yes,
blockchain.
yes, okay.
Like, yeah. So you
Right.
would have your AML stuff. You can create the contracts to verify against other contracts to do the AML and to verify
Right,
other
right.
things from global sources of truth with like your Home Affairs
Yeah, I
or
think this is
your,
the heart of
yeah.
it. This
So,
this this,
Um,
this sounds really good.
I think
but
it
it
would
wouldn't
be
be really there
interesting.
yet. You know what I mean? At the stage we're now,
Yeah, sure.
be
I think it would
confirmed
be
some of the
interesting
veracity. So, yeah.
to see what an MVP looks like. It would be very interesting.
So do you still want, so which one did you vote for, the medical one or the,
The KYC, because it's a little bit broader. With the using it in the medical field would make it a little bit narrow.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
So I vote for the KYC system.
Okay, Kagiso and I don't know, Sinisipo?
I agree on the KYC because it can apply to the other as well. So
Okay,
if you
cool.
have that, you can apply to other places.
And
Yeah.
then Kagiso, you got any thoughts? And I didn't hear from Andrew. Did Andrew leave? Okay, cool. So I think we're pretty much done on the KYC side. What do you think, Vickers?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No.
So yeah, I don't know how you would want to do it. Do we still need, how do we validate the idea then, I guess? Or go beyond validating it after we picked it?
Beyond validating, well, usually I would think about what technologies to use. Do I know those technologies? How much time do we have? And then what's the ultimate demo? What's the MVP that we need to show to the judges? So if we narrow it down to say we're just going to verify someone's age, which is what we have here, then how do we work that back from verifying age? What information do we need to verify age? And then where must that information live? So if we check, full circuit, okay, we're not doing full circuit. Yeah, question?
What's the judge's opinions around things like a business plan, a business model, financial forecasts, and things like that? Does that have any weight? Does it carry any weight in?
It does actually have some weight, because most hackathons, those judges actually want something that can go to market and that is
Sure.
logical to build, because
Sure.
it's kind of pointless building something that is just a fantasy or a hobby project.
Well, hackathons is one way of expanding the ecosystem, right? Because I mean, the guys are giving grants so they can see whether you want to build on their layer 1 or their layer 2. So yes, I agree. They're looking for the next big thing,
Yeah,
as far
exactly.
as the decentralized apps go. So a narrative is something that you might want to put behind your application. You might want to do some research on some competitors and use that to establish demand.
Yeah.
Just a few thoughts.
I normally just, usually stick it through ChatGPT to help me understand what is the project. Sometimes it helps me to determine if we go through with it. And the brutal judging, but good space. Okay. So are we going to mock the attestation, or are we going to do real attestation, like an actual check.
I don't know. Like from my knowledge, you have looked at it before, but how beginner friendly is it?
I have dealt with these ZK circuits before, and it is quite intense. I have to be honest, it is quite intense, but it's not impossible. I will do some research in that for us, and then I'll get some code that we can use, and it will actually handle stuff like age verification. Okay, so I think
Yeah, I'm just curious about how it actually. Sorry, I forgot my question now. In terms of setting it up, like, is there an optimal path in terms of blockchain and mixing everything together and how we would do it? Like, because from one ZK like system to another, is there easier way to do ZK proofs than another?
because these circum proofs, they generate a solidity file, so it has to go on a EVM type platform. So that's the limitation there. So I think we can use Polygon.
Yeah, but then can we also use, like, what if you had to build something and you only want to validate a piece for a hackathon, how much other open source code can you use? Like, would you be able to use other open source code?
I think you would be able to, but the majority of the code needs to be done inside the hackathon timeframe.
Okay.
So it has to be your work or your work times AI. But you can't go and take an existing project and just use that as your project, for instance.
No, fair enough. That's just plagiarism.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like using a small component from it, or using an existing project that you have and then building an extra feature for that hackathon, like, would that work? So could you actually iterate using hackathons?
If the oh, it's a good question. In the last hackathon I was in, that was one of the questions someone else had, because they were building onto an existing project. And I think the rules there was the code for the feature needs to be done inside the hackathon timeframe, and the feature must be fitting in the tech stack for the hackathon as well. So if it's add on to an existing project, you can do that as long as the work that you do is inside the hackathon timeframe, and that you only demo that feature inside of your demo. So it can be an add-on, but then you only focus on the add-on. You don't focus on the rest of the product.
Okay, fair enough. And then if you were taking it from one chain to another chain, would it only be the smart contract component that you'd be allowed to demo? Because if you've already got the front end, the back end, you're already on one chain, and now you want to add another chain, would they limit you by that, or would they just welcome you and say, whatever, build the smart contracts and go?
I think you would be able to do that, because your bulk of your work is the smart contract.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. Okay, Polygon Amoy. What is Polygon Amoy?
India, if I'm not mistaken, that's Polygon India, isn't it?
Testnet Polygon. Okay, so that's just the testnet.
Yeah, but we go through Mumbai or something.
Yeah. Okay. Um, to put together a dev brief.
Are you sharing the secret sauce with us in terms of how you built your agent to do all of this stuff?
I can share you. I can share the instruction set for this hackathon boss, but not yet. Not yet. Wait. This trick that I'm doing with having it as a zip file, when you work with ChatGPT, sometimes when it generates output, the rendering on the page breaks and you can't get all the content properly out of the page. And you have to struggle with copying blocks at a time and then different parsing. So if you tell it to export it as markdown in a zip file, it generates all the files in the background. Then at the end, you've got your zip file with your different files that you would have had, would have wanted. Was in desktop. Save. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch over to full screen. Just give me a sec.
Remember to close your messaging apps so they don't pop up.
Okay, that's a good idea. I did usually lead courses, so this is new for me.
Oh, good. No worries. No worries.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, try not to dox yourself 101, eh?
Yeah. Okay, so why do I ask for a brand voice, a dev brief, and a style guide? That's probably what you might have asked yourself. So every time I've done one of these vibe coding hackathon things, one thing that you don't want to spend a lot of time on is actually building out the front end, because if you're in a hackathon and you want to build something nice, it is cumbersome to be stuck with front end the whole time and trying to get the right words, get the right phrases or whatever. So having something like a brand voice which controls the narrative on screen. So if you ask the coding agent to generate a page, it uses your brand voice to guide what content to put on screen. So it helps the front end copy, and then the style guide just keeps a color scheme going so that it looks good. Then the dev brief just helps the agent to actually code what needs to be done. And for coding, there's a range of different options that you can use, but recently I've found that this OpenAI's Codex app is pretty good. Let's see. Any questions so far? Can you guys still see my screen?
Yep. You don't use something that actually like tracks what you're doing and dumps your journey somewhere as you're going. So in case you drop off, you can continue from that point, or like fully listing all the things that you want to do, and then you don't have like another file that basically like tracks everything, what you want to do, what you've done, dumps information about what you've done and why you've done those things, and then continue moving forward, or you don't see the point in that?
Well, that depends on the size of the project. I would, after this section, when it's done, the agents file, that would be this guy, agents. This is actually what you're referring to. This is giving it a scope of the project, different texts and all that. There. Then it's I. Yeah, it needs solid. So development principles, for those who are not coders, these are different methodologies that exist in the coding realm that guides devs in creating not too complicated code systems and code structures, so that you can easily iterate over it. It's just guiding the coding LLM to create good code. That's basically what it's for. Yeah, solid. There's another one. I'll make this on. Just want to check. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Final verdict on this. Okay. Then for the front end, I'm using Stitch just to speed up the mocking of the front end. This will generate some HTML for us to use as inspiration for what the front end should look like.
And then how are we deploying this, as an app or as a web app, or?
I think demo-wise, web app, we can use something like Vercel or Railway. Or I normally deploy to AWS because I'm used to deploying to AWS. It is very overkill to deploy to AWS. You don't need to. It's just something I'm used to doing. But just something like Vercel is good. And it's free. It has a good free tier. But there should be a normal small web app. Oh. What do you think?
Looks chilled.
No.
Like it's very friendly, not aggressive. Can't make out everything, but it's good. Actually, let me just swap screens.
Oh, screens move. Oh. Age check. Kind of has a app feel to it already.
I'm just curious whether we should add a QR code scanner to actually verify on other apps. So, you know what I mean? You have a master device or you have a check device and you have a thingy and you just have a check feature where you say, I want to check someone's ID, and then they just QR code you and then you checked. Like, because that verify thing, like, does it actually go into QR codes or what does it actually look at? Like address, or do you have to share your address?
No, I think probably address.
Because obviously if you use a QR code, then you can become chain agnostic for anyone that just verifies with one chain, then they can on all the chains at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. If you the chain. Yeah, it's something I'll have to think about, the multi-chain. But I think for now we just stick to the one chain. Okay. That is going to QR code. And this is me being uber lazy. I don't want to sit with HTML. Struggling with front end and colors and positioning and all of that.
So does this give you the code that you can just extract and chuck it wherever you need to?
Yeah, it gives you HTML code that you can use.
Can you import into it? Like what you currently have, and then it redesigns it?
I haven't tried that. Just waiting for this other screen. Oh, there it is.
Do you know what this could be interestingly used for? Since you mentioned pubs, is basically you could track personnel on premises in the case of whatever fire thingy, but you could actually use it in such a way that it could be used in malls, it could be used everywhere. A bit surveillance techie vibes, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely like access control as well.
Mm.
You can have, I don't know how they're going to, well, you can maybe cross the bridge with a mobile app and you activate NFC as an identifier.
That would be cool, actually.
And then, yeah, like you've done your KYC, but it's not just KYC, it's maybe some access code that's coded into your KYC data. And then when you go to work or when you go to some
Events,
point,
yeah.
some event, yeah, and then you just NFC scan, and it does the whole. They don't need to know what's your access code, but they can check that you have access, and then also what level of access, and that's
Yeah.
done. And that's done over just a scan of the phone.
Fair enough. It does create a thingy, a safety hazard though, because all someone would have to do is have your phone to be you. But that's another checks and balances.
Yeah, but these days there's biometrics.
Yeah,
So they would have to have your face or your thumb to to impersonate you.
fair
Totally.
enough. But you could actually have biometrics on the scanning device or in the near field communicator, or you know what I mean. You could make it like pretty fancy if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. So good. Okay, this page is a bit weird. Okay. Good, select all. Zip. Okay, here we've got the HTML code. Okay, that's good. That's good. We did say that's right on Next.js. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it should read the design that we've got, and it's going to initialize the Next.js app based on those designs, get that mockup going. Once we have that in, then we can check out the wallets, the wallet side. And then, yeah, I think then we're about almost a third of the way in, I'd say. Because we've got the front end, we've got wallet, then we'll just need something to verify. How are we going to verify the age? Are we going to scan the ID? Are we going to take a photo of an ID? Are we going to take a photo of an ID and then put it through OCR, optical character?
Optical character recognition. But I warn you against that because OCR requires like a stupid amount of space to get the NVIDIA drivers even to begin to want to play with the computer. But yeah, we could do that. We could work with how should it be scannable? But then again, you have to actually, because your driver's license or your ID card is scannable. So are we looking to scan the back of the device to get all that information? But then we'd actually have to figure out how we can read that information. And is that available data? Because that makes it a little bit easier. Because then we're not worried about what's actually on the ID, but we're actually looking at the data that's encoded already. So we're just reading a barcode.
Is there a barcode on the passport?
No.
Oh, because maybe they'll use a
Wait,
passport.
hold on 1 second. I'll check. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. I remember back in the day where getting this far in a project will take 2 weeks, 3 weeks worth of coding just to get this far with the actual design that you can interact with. Now it takes minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask how you got the HTML code for the speech. I didn't see that.
Sorry, I can't hear.
So what we did, I'll share the video with you. But essentially we went to Stitch with Google and we pasted in a prompt. And then from there we exported it out of, and we made it into a zip file.
Okay, yeah, I saw that, but I didn't see where you exported. Where exactly you exported?
So there is a barcode on it,
Okay, I
and
see
they
the
do.
text, yeah.
Sorry, Ruth.
Yes, yes, I've seen that now. Thank you. I missed
Okay.
So
that.
there is a barcode, and I do remember them scanning your ID when you're going through. But there's also a chip, if I'm not mistaken, in your IDs. So yeah, they scan the chip as well. But yeah, because ID has a weird list of letters and numbers on it. And then they're all pretty much the same. But on the last page of the ID, there is a scannable thing, and they do scan your ID when you go through airports. So
Yeah, but they've got they scan the barcode. Is it? I think I scan the barcode, yeah. Okay. Oh, exciting. Okay. It's checking. Because we can build an API that interprets a scanned image like a photo and read the photo and then extract the information from the photo. We can do that and then just return the information we need from it. So take a photo of an ID, send it to the API, then the API calls a LLM to interpret that image and then extract the information on it, and then just return back maybe a JSON object containing either a date of birth or, you know, I think maybe just the date of birth, because your age will change. So if you KYCing when you're 17 and it just tracks your age, then at least you don't have to KYC again when you're 18. So you can just do it once, track your date of birth, and then based on time of day, then they can then validate whether you're old enough. Okay. Let's see. Still busy. Okay. Team risk. Okay, cool. Okay, let's see. Do we have? Is there any questions? Concerns?
How are you verifying all this code? How are you verifying that this code is going to run as you anticipate it to run? Are you reading any bit of it, maybe sampling it, things like that?
Sampling it.
Or do you just trust that the code is going to run according to the prompts and
I can read most of the code and understand it,
Okay.
but also there's only so much that you can absorb in a short
Sure.
frame of time.
Sure.
However, for instance, here's a 500 server error. So what I would do is I literally take a screenshot of the error
And give it back to the AI.
just give it back.
But I think the
Okay.
component that you're really asking about, Riza, is like, what are you validating and what aren't you validating? And in terms of front end, like in terms of some of the easier lifting where you don't necessarily need to worry about as much security, that's where you don't need to spend your time. But when it comes to the actual contracts, when it comes to the security points, of where are you going to lose user data, where are you liable, how can you design sloppy code? That's where
How
most
do
of
you
your time should be
how
spent.
do you identify that now? How do you
You read
identify
it. You
the
read it.
vulnerabilities?
Well, you have to know what the vulnerabilities are and actually read through the code and actually figure out what's right, what's wrong, where's their potential memory leak, where can someone do a privilege escalation, where could they execute vulnerabilities within the smart contract. So that actually comes from, you could either prompt it to figure it out as well, if you
Right.
don't understand those things, but then also what you would really need to do is just read through the code, figure out what happens, Google line after line. If you don't know what this does, just Google it and you will figure it out. And for the most part, code is complicated, but once you understand the basics of code, you can figure out what is good coding practice and what isn't good coding practice.
Sure. So in that case, you could probably make your prompts even more specific.
Yes. So you could do that as well, but at the end of the day, you can't just design everything with AI. You also, it can do a lot of the heavy lifting, but it's gonna get you to maybe like 80%, 90% there. The rest really needs to be you going, okay, what do I see here? Where are the vulnerabilities? Because even if you run your app, or run your code through a trained model to detect things, it might say that there's nothing there when there is actually something there, because humans are crafty and AI doesn't
Sure.
understand our level of craftiness. But at the same time, you could have false positives as well. Because I know certain groups that will not do smart contract audits as a business model, because it's just risky. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if you do an audit and someone runs that audit through AI, they don't want to do business with you. But meanwhile, the contract is squeaky clean. So you
Yes.
know what I mean? There's pros and cons to everything.
Sure. Yeah. Very complicated.
Yeah. Well, it's the power of technology. You know,
Yeah.
like you can create life and destroy it at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah, the main problem with AI generating code is that it generates so much at a time.
And so quickly.
Yeah, and so quickly, and it's, I mean, like now, even though it's created this whole project, it's got all the pages, it's not running.
So now you got to go back and you got to find the faulty lines.
Yeah, so part of that journey is making sure that you are the project manager for the AI, and you have a big stick. And you smack it. I have at some stage, it was last year, I was busy with the project, and the coding model then was struggling to fix something. And at some point I told it, if you don't get it fixed now, I'm going to fire you. And then it tried, it failed. Then I said, sorry, guy, it's over. We are done. Cheers. And then it said, please give me one more chance. I'll try harder. And then it fixed it. So I don't know why it couldn't do it the first time,
Wasn't enough pressure, I guess.
No, you didn't validate it. You got to validate the feelings, like give it its last shot. But I do find, like, I don't know, this is the crazy thing. I do find that manners and pleases and thank yous and good nights to your AI makes it like you more and do better. And there's a whole argument around prompting nicely, how you're destroying the world, because every prompt basically uses up a lot of natural gases. It uses up a whole bunch of things to get these things done. But what I've noticed is I actually get a quantifiable gain by being nice to my AI, like treating it as just like a well-meaning, just really clumsy intern. And you just be nice to them, and then you get better results. I don't know.
Yeah, one key approach that I use is I talk to it like a junior developer, like leading it somewhat there, but not all the way. Let it finish it by itself, and then guide it when it's wrong, and then help it when it's stuck, and then punish it when it doesn't want to make it work. And then hopefully, okay, there we go.
Very cool. You're not sharing screen, but it is 8 o'clock. So I don't know if you want to cap the session or go like just show us what you've done 5 minutes and then like kill it for the night.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
You did magic.
So this is what it came up with. So I think in terms of hackathon time, we've done a week or 2 weeks worth of work in minutes. So the next thing we need to do is get the wallet signing in so that we can authenticate with the wallet, and then go through with registering our date of birth, at least. Yeah. So we're almost there, actually. And then we can check it out. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Will you be uploading all of the code to the repo?
Yes. Let's do that.
And then let me do this as well. So you guys can find us over here if you want to check anything that we've built. And then, so not anything that we built, that's the community. And we're more active on WhatsApp, but we are on, what are the other two called? Discord and Telegram, yes. But now I seem to have lost you guys. Ah, there you are. And yeah, here is the YouTube. If you want to, actually, let me go into the exact course or the playlist, because then you guys will be able to see all the videos that we've had so far. Nope, not this. This one. Cool.
So is this GPT codex? Is that what you're using?
Yes.
Okay. Because what you just done there now poses a huge threat to the whole discipline of UI development. Because you just developed a whole UI right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
So kind of. So essentially, it's a double-edged sword, because on the one side, you basically have the ability for senior developers to work a lot faster. On the other side, it's harder for newer people to learn because there's so little friction to getting it done. So you aren't suffering. But on the other side, it does take someone actually writing this code themselves to actually get to the point where they can evaluate the code. So you see that double-edged sword of you actually have to create code to manage the code that your AI is eventually going to create for you. Because if you can't read the code, you don't know what's going to happen. You need to basically get, you need to be able to sit down with the whiteboard and map the flows of everything. But if you can't read what's going on, it becomes really hard to do it. But yeah, it's powerful, but deadly at the same time. And this is where that whole career, or not career enhancing tool comes into place, but also it becomes really hard for people to get jobs as well, because they think that AI can help them. But at the same time, what we're seeing, some data is suggesting that a lot of companies are burning a lot of money in terms of AI credits. They're mandating these AI credits, like you have to literally do like 50,000 AI credits a month or whatever the case is. If you don't meet that quota, then you're not gonna get your bonuses or whatever the case is. But a lot of these developers are meeting those quotas and then still having to redesign the code because AI isn't performing the way that they need it to. So it's a very complicated kind of situation that a lot of developers are in, either like when they're trying to learn or when they're in production environments. And though that actual study or sample or whatever was actually from like some of the Fortune 100 companies, because they implemented AI and they just expect certain things from people, and developers are basically paying the price, where they have to work longer hours instead of shorter hours because AI isn't performing and they've got these credit mandates, which is pretty crazy.
So one thing, well, another thing that's quite nice is, so I've pushed the code to GitHub, so it's in our project folder. I will sync it to the main one in a bit. It's got the basic README over here, and I can ask it to actually update that based on what the project is. And it will pull together knowledge about the project, update the README, and then get that pushed so that this becomes a bit more detailed. So that when you submit it to the judges, you've got a slightly more fleshed out README that describes the project. And you can also ask it to generate diagrams and sequence diagrams to explain how the data flows in the system. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It has saved me a ton of time when it comes to putting projects together. Okay, so here it's explained the core idea for the project, a little more information about it. And there you go.
Cool.
So
I
that
also
means,
want to, sorry.
yeah, so it means that I don't have to go and think up what to write here, because that's also time consuming, especially in a hackathon where you've got only so much time to work in. So that's also the benefit of using AI, is where it can, understand the project and then return back documentation in a certain format that will help you.
No, exactly. But I think like one of the caveats of the study that I was talking about, they didn't actually look at the prompting skill of the prompters. So that's something else to consider, like how you actually prompted, how tight you can get those prompts actually determines how well AI would work with you as well. So
Whether
it's
or
a
not you
catch-22.
said please.
Sorry?
And whether or not you said please.
Yes, exactly. The please, it goes a long way. I'm serious, like guys.
I believe it. I do.
Yeah, remember, like it's basically that whole thing of you got to be nice to the robot overlords, and then they'll be like, nah, this guy is cool. I trust him. Like, let's leave him alone when the robots uprise and stuff. So he said please every time. But Vickers, do you mind if we cut the call now? I
Yeah,
think
sure.
we're just over an hour, and it's like past 8, and I'm sure people have stuff that they want to do.
Yeah.
And then we can just pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
So no getting excited, okay? Like picking up tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
I'm just using a skill that specializes in UI UX formatting and front end to just clean up the HTML a bit. So this is another side to using these coding agents, is where they've got skills in certain areas that specializes in well, here's a UI UX pro that's going to fix the front end. Then there's a whole range of other skills that they've got, so that you don't have to know how to prompt it. You use a skill that is basically a prompt template with a certain definition, and then that guides the coding agent to do a certain task. So this will help me to just clean up, fix some styling issues, layout issues, and so forth. Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Hold on. I'm just going to kill the recording first, but thank you very much, Vikas. I appreciate all your instruction, guidance, and help.
Pleasure.
Cool. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.